Does that sound good to you?
It sounds intimidating.
I think you'll be fine. You'll be good.
I've tried to learn it in like what is it, about 10 days since we last had a class or something, 12 days, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to remember, like, because of some of the letters are so like one another, the difference is like a little dot or something, so it's quite hard to remember them. And, the names and then the sound. There's a lot of things to remember.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
You won't understand because it's your mother tongue, but for someone who's used to the Latin alphabet, it's a lot more complicated, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You're not wrong. But you'll get used to it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you will. You just every time that you think that you're past a certain lesson or something, you still have to keep practicing it, even if you're technically done and you're above that level, because that's how you build, really strong memory of something.
Just to keep practicing. Yeah, I think that's what it's going to take. But like at the moment, I only know about, I'd say, a dozen of them. Out of what is it? There are 29, aren't there? So I only know like well about 12.
Well, the alphabet is technically 26. Well,
26.
it's technically a lot more than that, but it gets complicated.
If you factor in all the different like diacritics and everything else, it's about 100, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's the 26 main letters, and then there's 28 if you count ta marbuta and hamza. And then there's more modern letters that are, since the Arabic alphabet does not have P or V, so this isn't in the official alphabet, but it's in, the keyboard, people use it and whatnot, it's basically the Arabic letters for P and V. Yeah, so there's actually a
So
lot.
is that for words that have come into Arabic from European languages or from other languages?
Yes,
Just for those letters.
yes, yes.
I see.
So, like, for example, on the labels of 7 Up, it doesn't say 7 Up because we don't have the V. It actually says 7 Up. Hold on, let me actually search up.
I see. Yeah.
And I'll show you how it says 7 Up instead of 7. Can you see the stream?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So you can see here this isn't the fa, right? Fa is this. This is fa.
Fa.
Oh god. Yeah. This is a completely different letter. And this is basically Arabic V, and then this is Arabic P. It has 2 more dots than B, the ba. This is ba.
Ba.
Ba. So yeah. This is basically what it looks like for us in the Middle East. Yeah.
So did Arabic just create new letters to cope with advertising and things like that, and modern media?
Yes.
I see.
It's because there's a lot of because in a lot of dialects and a lot of native Arabic speakers when they talk to each other, because there's a lot of products that are sold in Middle Eastern countries that have names in other languages, right? Like, they're not gonna change the name of 7 Up to like the Arabic words for
Yeah,
7 and up, right?
yeah.
So,
Even though they change the name sometimes here, like sometimes like we've had chocolate bars in England that used to be called something else when I was younger, and now they're called something completely different to cope with the American market. So even the American market determines what we call things, even though we used to call them something different before. So it's a global thing, isn't it?
yes. Yes, it really is. Yeah. So, let's go over the Arabic alphabet again, right? So, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
So, I bet you're familiar with a lot of these sounds because they also exist in your native languages, right? Like ba, ta, tha, ja, right? And basically, we're just gonna listen to the entire alphabet twice, and then I'm gonna have you try, keyword try, to pronounce these letters on your own. Okay. So the first one is called Alif, like this, Alif. And then this is what it sounds like. Ah. So it's basically the Arabic version of the A, right? Yeah. And so the second letter is Ba, right? And that sounds like this. Ba, ba.
I want to say something. Whenever you play the sound, it just mutes everything. Like we can't even hear anything, not even the letters. Is that just me, or is that with
No,
everybody?
it's the same for me. And the pointer is frozen on the screen. It's like you're probably moving the pointer to the speaker, but it's not moving on my screen.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Wait, oh yeah, I think it's not sharing the sound.
I can see everything though. I can see the screen with there's two speaker symbols and one for the name of the letter, one for the sound of the letter. Is that right?
What?
yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, that's all I can see for the first 10 or so letters. 9 actually, but
It's not that big of a problem. You can just go over them
yeah.
while you
Yeah.
say them, basically.
Yeah. But I'm still gonna try and fix the problem. Okay. I think you should be able to hear it now.
ألف
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay. Okay, so this first one is Alif, and it's basically the first. It's the first letter of the Arabic alphabet, and it's the Arabic alphabet equivalent of A. It's pronounced the same way, and it's the first letter, right? It's called Alif.
Alif.
This voice is really enthusiastic.
Ah.
Ah, right? You just pronounce it as ah.
Ah.
And then the second letter of the Arabic alphabet is ba,
Ba.
and it's pronounced ba or b.
Ba. Ba.
The third one is ta, right? And a lot of the letters that look similar probably sound similar too. Like ta and tha are pretty similar. And, you know, these three are kind of similar. Right, and da and the are pretty similar, right? Seen and sheen are pretty similar, right? So for some of these letters, it helps to build that connection between the two of them, right? So yeah. Anyway, so this third letter is ta.
Ta.
It's really aggressive. Ta.
Ta.
Ta. Ta. Right, like turtle and all of the... It's a sound that I don't think will be too difficult for any of you. And then the fourth letter is tha, right, like thermometer.
Tha.
Right, like thermometer. And then this fifth letter is jim, right? It's j. So for some words you pronounce it as j, and for other words you pronounce it as ja, right? There's a slight difference, and most of the difference between j and ja, right, like the pronunciation of jim, comes from, you know, your dialect or your accent, right? So for example, I would say ja for some words, right? Like jadid, which means new. I would say jadid, right? But some people in some other parts of the Arabic world might pronounce it as jadid. It really differs. Just pick the pronunciation that you're most comfortable with, and it shouldn't be too, you know, complicated. So this is
J. J.
ja or ja. So now we're getting into some pretty difficult letters, right? So this one is ha. And this one is pretty hard to pronounce. You just have to practice it, right? But it helps to kind of, you know, have you ever tried to create this like condensation on a window or something, and you're like, it helps to think of it a bit like that, and that should guide you in the right direction with pronunciation. Like, right, how you would I remember when I was younger, I would do that on the window to for fun. I don't know. Yeah. And so just think of it like that, right? Or back when it was colder, I would do that to show people like, oh, look, you can see the breath, Yeah. Ha. Ha. And then this, I've lost count. I think 6, 7 letter is ha. This one, I used to think that it would be hard for non-Arab speakers to be able to pronounce this, but it's actually easier than you think. You can kind of, it's in a lot of words that you guys already pronounce, right? Like if you've ever tried to speak French, you've probably tried to pronounce this letter. Or if you've tried to pronounce some German words, right? Like if you can say Bach, you're kind of already going in the right direction with the pronunciation of the sound. So, ha. And then this letter is, sorry, you can hear my family, but this one is called the dal, right? And you just pronounce it like the D sound. And it's just D,
D, D.
right? Like dua. It's just a normal D sound. This one is the or dal, right? And this one you pronounce it like the TH in the, right? Just like the chair, the window. Yeah. And this one, some might struggle with it because in Arabic you roll your R's. So this one is ra,
R,
ra, ra,
Ra,
right? So you can just practice rolling your R's, saying ra instead of ra, or however you pronounce the ra sound, right? Just practice rolling your R's. And this one is zad, right? Or
Z,
za, yeah. And you pronounce it like the Z in, the English alphabet, right? Like if you were to say zoo, it's the same pronunciation. And yeah,
Z,
z. So this next one is seen. And this one is just a simple S sound.
S,
Right, simple S sound. And then the next one is Sheen, which is just sh, like shower, show me. And this next letter is a bit difficult, right? It's sod. It's like the S sound, but it's a bit more intense. What helps is to kind of do a fake yawn, right? Like, ah, right? And then create this space in the back of your throat, and then try and pronounce the sa or sa sound, right? And then that should, you can practice that more often, and you'll get closer to being able to pronounce the sod sound,
Sad,
right? So one thing I noticed with a lot of Arabic words is that you have to create space in the back of your mouth, right? You have to kind of have you guys ever tried to like make your voice sound deeper? That was a question.
I tried,
yeah.
but not
Yeah.
maybe succeeded.
Yeah, like try and talk like this. You know how you have to lower some muscles in your throat to be able to create that sound? It's kind of similar, right? Where you kind of lower some of your muscles and you create more space in the back of your throat, and then you pronounce the simple sounds, right? Like sod is basically just seen or s with a open throat, a more open throat, and some of the throat muscles are lower, right? It's basically the same sound. You just have to arrange some of your muscles and some parts in your mouth and throat a bit differently, right? So it helps to think of it as just trying to lower your voice or all of that, and trying to create space in the back of your mouth and your throat, right? And then you pronounce the S, and then you should get something pretty close to sod, but actually getting an accurate sod sound, it requires practice, but that should guide you in the right direction. And for dad, it's a similar thing. It's basically just the da sound, but with opening up your throat and opening up your like trying to create more space in the back of your mouth, and then pronouncing the da sound, right? So this is da and this is da, right? But obviously getting a more accurate sound requires a lot of practice. Here,
D. D.
da, da. And for ta,
T.
this one doesn't sound very accurate. It's also a very similar thing where you try and create space in the back of your mouth, right, and in the back of your throat, and you do the thing where you like what you would do if you were trying to lower your voice and make your voice sound deeper, and then pronounce the ta sound, ta, ta, right? But again, if you want to get a more accurate sound, you're just gonna have to practice, but that should guide you in the right direction. And the is a mixture between dad and dal, right? It has some of that duh sound in there with, the space in the back of your throat and whatever. But if you can hear that in my pronunciation, it also sounds a lot like the. It's somewhere in the middle, right? So there's the, dad, there's the, and then there's the. They're pretty similar, I know. But they're all kind of connected with the one dot on top. So maybe that helps.
Oh, it's the, right?
This one?
Yeah, this one.
Yes. The.
The.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And this next one is Ain. This one I don't particularly have many tips for getting. The only tip that I have is that it's again just like a really intense A sound. There's A and then there's A. But for Ain, it kind of, you have to tighten some of your muscles instead of loosening them to create more space in your throat. So something that I notice when I'm pronouncing Ain is that my throat gets a little bit tighter. So maybe that can help you, right? And Ghain is it's one of the letters that is also present in other languages, mainly the most popular language I would say is French. So if you've ever tried to learn French, you probably either know how to pronounce this sound or you have had previous practice with trying this. But it kind of helps to think of when you're clearing your throat, right? Clearing, not clearing your throat, sorry, gargling water. I don't know how I got those two confused, but kind of gargling water without the water. And then fa is just fa, right? It's just F, right? It's just F. But qaf is a very special letter. When I listen to qaf, I think that it's really similar to kaf, right? Again, in Arabic, you'll see a pattern. There's the letters that are, simple sounds like ka, fa, ka, fa, da, the. And then there's the letters that are almost the exact same thing, but just modified, right? The sound is really, really similar, but you just have to do different things to achieve that sound, right? And mostly you would just have to tighten your throat a bit or loosen your throat a bit to create more space in the back of your throat. So for qaf, I noticed that I have to kind of tighten my throat a little bit, right? It feels tighter right before I, pronounce it, right? It's qa, right? Yeah. It's really similar to the kaf sound. So yeah. And then
Going on here.
What?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. And so this next letter is kaf, right? It's just ka, right? It's just ka, K, K or C, right? Like karaoke or car, right? So there shouldn't be like a sound that is very difficult because it's probably present in your native language.
So like qaf and then there's kaf, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then there's lam, which is just L, right? It even slightly looks like a reversed, modified L. I mean like flipped. L, right? And it's just lam, L,
La.
la, right? But it's like a really soft L. You just kind of have to be very gentle with the pronunciation, right? I find that when because there's the letter lam in my name, and whenever I try to get people who weren't native speakers of Arabic to pronounce my name, and they were mostly native speakers of English, they pronounced the L in a very harsh way, right? So my name is Allah, and they would pronounce it like Allah, right? Allah, or like almost similar to like the word for God in Arabic, Allah. And that's kind of the exact opposite of what you want to do with lam most of the time in Arabic, right? Because a lot of times it's a very gentle sound, right? So yeah, kind of like in my name, it's just Allah. You don't have to really stress the sound. And then this next one, the rest of these are pretty easy. So this one is meme. It's just m. It's just m.
Ma.
And then this next one is noon, which is just n. N, like nice.
N.
This one is ha, right? Like have, holiday, right? It's just ha.
Ha.
And then this one is wow,
Oo.
and you pronounce it as oo. And then this one is ya, and then you pronounce it as e.
E.
So yeah. Does anybody have any questions to ask before I go over all of this again, and then you start to read it? No questions? Okay.
I don't think anybody has questions.
Yeah. So this one is Alif, and the sound that it makes is ah. This one is ba, and the sound that it makes is ba, like B. This one is ta, and the sound that it makes is ta, like turtle or tree. And then this one is tha. It's you pronounce it like the tha in thermometer, right? It's just tha. This one is jim. You can pronounce it as ja or ja, whichever one is you feel more comfortable doing. Both are correct. You can say ja or ja. And then this one is ha. It's pronounced right, like this. Yeah, I like to think of it as an exhale. And then this one is kha. This one is dal, and it's the sound that it makes is da.
Da.
This one is dal, and the sound that it makes is like the, you know, like when you say the table, the curtains, right? It's the. This one is Ra. You have to roll your R's when you say it. Ra. This one is za, and you pronounce it like za, like how you would pronounce zoo. It's basically Z. This one is Sheen. You pronounce it as sa, like the S in English. Like if you were to say see or sat. This one is Sheen. You pronounce it as sh, right? Like should, or can't think of another English word that starts with sh. Shoulder. This one is sod. You pronounce it as saw. And like I previously explained, it's basically sa, but you have to create more space in the back of your throat, and do a similar motion, similar to if you were trying to pretend to have a deeper voice. Right? And that combined with enough practice should get you to a sa. Sa. Right? Even if I extend the beginning of the sound, sa, you can hear how it basically sounds like sa, sa, sa. Yeah. And then dad, which is very similar to sod in the way that it is basically another letter, but just a more intense version of that letter, with opening up your throat and creating more space in the back of your throat, and then pronouncing another letter. Like dad is just a more intense dal. And this next one is ta, which again is another one of those letters that is a more intense version of another letter. It is a more intense version of the ta, ta, ta. This one is a mixture between dal, the one that you pronounce like the chair, the table, the computer, right? And a mixture between dal and dad, right? So there's dad, there's the, and then there's the. They differ slightly, but it really does make a difference. And then there's ayn, which again, like I said, I don't have many tips for pronunciation for this one, but I've noticed that when I pronounce the ayn, my throat gets a bit tighter instead of more open and looser like some of the other letters. So maybe that helps. Ayn. And then there's ghain, which you can think of it as gargling without water. Right? It's hard to make that sound sustain, but yeah. You can think of it like gargling without water. Just gargling air. Ra. You can also think of it, in reference to French, right? And how they pronounce their R's in certain contexts. And then there's fa, which is just like Friday or food. Then there's qaf, which is again a more intense version of another letter. It is a more intense version of the letter kaf, right? Qaf, and then there's kaf. Again, I don't have many tips for pronouncing this, but I noticed that when I first start to approach pronouncing the letter, my throat tightens, and then I reach the same level like the other letters, where I loosen my throat and I create more space in the back of my throat, right? So it's like a mix of the two. So yeah, but it's very similar to kaf, so you can work off of kaf. And then there's kaf, which is ka, like candy or car. And then there's lam, like love or laugh. And then there's meme, like mime or meme or mine. And then there's noon, like nice, negative, and so on. And then there's ha, like have or happy. And then there's wow, which you pronounce as oo. It is a vowel. And you have ya, which you pronounce as e, which is another vowel. Arabic only has 3 vowels. Okay. Now, who wants to read these letters for me?
I'll do it. All right.
Okay.
Can I go or?
Yeah, do it. This one?
All right. Alif.
Okay, what sound does it make?
A.
Mm-hmm. This one?
Ba.
Mm-hmm.
Ta.
Mm-hmm.
Tha.
Mm-hmm.
Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Ha.
Can you repeat that again?
Ha.
Okay, good.
Kha.
Can you repeat that again?
Kha.
Okay.
Dal.
Mm-hmm.
Thal.
Not quite. Can you try again?
Thal.
Nope. It's dal, like the.
Dal. Okay.
Yes.
Dal.
Mm-hmm.
Ra.
Mm-hmm.
Za.
Mm-hmm.
Sin.
Mm-hmm.
Sheen.
Mm-hmm.
Sad.
Mm-hmm.
Dad.
Mm-hmm. Close.
Ta.
Close.
Tha.
The.
Va.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then this one.
Ain.
Mm-hmm.
Ghain.
Mm-hmm.
Ba.
What? Excuse me.
Ba.
Yes.
Kaf.
Yes. This one.
Kaf.
Mm-hmm.
Lam.
Mm-hmm.
Mim.
Mm-hmm.
Noon.
Mm-hmm.
Ha.
It's not quite.
Ha.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yes.
Ya.
Yes. Good. Okay. Who wants to go next?
Can I try it?
Yes, you can. Okay.
Okay. It's Alif,
Mhm.
Ba,
Mhm.
Ta,
Mhm.
Sa,
Mhm.
Jeel,
Mhm.
Ha,
Mhm.
and that's Ka, Dal, Sal. Is that correct?
It's dal, like the.
Zal. Yeah,
Mhm.
Zal. Ra,
Yes.
Za,
Mhm.
Seen,
Mhm.
Sheen,
Mhm.
Sad,
Mhm.
Dad,
Mhm.
Ta,
Mhm.
Ta,
Mm, no, not quite.
Ta.
Not quite. It's a mixture between dod and the, right? So it's the.
Okay. Za,
Yes.
Ain,
Mhm.
Wine,
Mhm.
and Fa,
Mhm.
Kaf,
Mhm.
Kaf,
Mhm.
Lam,
Mhm.
Meen,
Mhm.
Noon,
Mhm.
Ha,
Mhm.
Vav,
Mhm.
Ya.
Mhm. Perfect. Does anybody else want to try? Don't be intimidated. I promise it's not that scary. It's okay if you don't know which letters make which sounds. I'm here for a reason.
I can't see your screen, but I've got a book and I'm following it in a book, and it's in the same order. Shall I try?
Yes. You can see my screen now? Can you see my screen?
Not yet. No, it's coming through better than it was. No, it's just all interference. I've got like half a green sort of color, and the rest is all like mixed up. So like it's all jumbled up. So I can't. But I've got a book, and it's the same order. So shall I try from that?
Yeah, it's in alphabetical order, this website, so.
Yeah.
Okay, try.
Alif,
Mm-hmm.
A,
Uh,
Ba,
okay,
Ta,
okay,
Va,
okay.
Jim,
Mm-hmm.
Ha,
Mm-hmm.
Ka,
Okay.
Dal,
Mm-hmm.
or is it Dal? It's Dal, isn't it? And the next one's Dal. Va,
No, the dal with a dot on it is dal, right? It's kind of like,
Dal.
yeah, like the, you know, the.
Yeah, instead of, in this book it's DH, but it's more like TH, you think?
Yeah, it is more like a th.
Yeah. So it's Thal,
Yes.
Ra,
Mm-hmm.
Zay,
Mm-hmm.
Seen,
Mm-hmm.
Sheen, Sod,
Mm-hmm.
Dod,
Mm-hmm.
Ta,
Mm-hmm.
Za,
Mm-hmm.
oh God, Ain,
Mm-hmm.
Gain,
Okay.
Gain.
Yeah, it's close.
Gain.
It's
No, no,
close.
it's like rain.
Yeah.
Ga.
No, no, no,
Gain.
no, 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 no. Like like the back of your mouth, like close it while you speak.
Right.
Gain.
Kind of like you're
Rain.
gargling.
Yeah, like that.
It's quite hard. I'm going to have to practice that one, I think,
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than keep embarrassing myself.
You're not
Shall I go
embarrassing
on?
yourself.
Gain.
Yeah.
Fa.
Mm-hmm.
Calf.
Yeah.
Is it? No, it's more like calf, isn't it? Cough.
Yes.
Yes.
And then calf.
Mm-hmm.
Lam.
Mm-hmm.
Meme.
Mm-hmm.
Noon.
Mm-hmm.
Ha.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And ya.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Hey, I got a doubt.
You got a what?
Doubt. Can you scroll up to sod?
Sod? This one?
Yeah, yeah. So, dot. Is it pronounced dot or lot? How is it pronounced?
It's Lod.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.